OP is so hype. I love it. All right. I think we left off yesterday as Okarin was trying to collect his thoughts, and it's perfect because I need a quick recap. Help, please. So help me, Okabe. What happened? What are we dealing with? I think it's here, and let us load into it. Pandora's box. Right, so last stream we involuntarily, as with all the time travels, pretty much all except for one so far has been voluntary, and or most, I shouldn't say one. Hello Maki, how are you doing? Happy this is still Friday where you are? I don't know. Maybe not. I think it might be like DGen hours Saturday. You had another good nap. All right, excellent. I think if anything, that World War III timeline that we experienced last stream. Wait, when did the shower counter increase? When Suzuha was having a fever, and what is it? Amane Yuki was showering and sang the song. She was humming the Mayuri song. I don't know what you call it, the star song. So that's when we went to 2. I think it's 2 right now. Yeah. Surprisingly, I don't think we've actually encountered that many showers so far, which makes me kind of worried, because does that mean that there's just going to be a lot of showers between now and the ending? You think that's all, to be honest? Okay. All right. You hyped me up, Snazzle. I thought there was going to be a lot more showers. All right. I think today's storyline most likely will take a darker turn. The World War III scene where everyone was trying to get him to Okinawa's base and then eventually handed him over to the Americans sounded horrible, but it must have a purpose. They were meant to be references of showers of lab members together, not actual showers. I am not following that. What do you mean by showers of lab members together? Oh, like girls were saying to each other that they should shower together? Is that what you meant? I see. That's okay. I misunderstood, but I'll take the 2 showers as a win. All right. Let's see. Okane needs to collect his thoughts, so we'll take this opportunity to collect our thoughts too. I went up to the roof and booted up the web browser on my smartphone. Unlike during wartime, it connected immediately. I was amazed at the speed. Just getting an internet connection in the last world line had been difficult enough. I started by searching Gorbachev, and the result came back instantly. I think there are 4 of those references where multi-lab members are suggested or imagined to be showered together. Gotcha. Perestroika. The Soviet Union's first and last president. the August coup d'etat and the collapse of the Soviet Union. All the keywords I hoped to see were there. As soon as I confirmed that the Soviet Union was dismantled at the end of the 20th century and no longer existed, I closed the browser. Too soon? Then why had the war line changed again? I hadn't done anything. I didn't have any way to interfere with the divergence value. So what had changed it? Had whoever had performed the first experiment in Russia undone it? Had they watched its progress for a month and then been satisfied? Were they going to keep doing it? And if they did, would I be caught up in it each time? It was a mistake to come outside without a cold town. Nothing I could come up with by myself would be anything more than a guess. I went back to the lab. The wreaths we put up at the entrance for Christmas party were still up.
Christmas party.
Yeah, so suddenly we're in January 21st. It had only been a month, hadn't it? It felt like a million years ago. I had no memories of what I'd done in his world line after the Christmas party.
ああ、そういえば飾り付け放置したまんまだっけ。いい加減外さないとな。
I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get a Christmas tree, like an actual tree, I just let it stay until it died, like completely. I mean, it's dead, right? It's a dead tree, but until everything has fallen and browned. Because it smells so good, like the pine needles and everything. My apartment, if I put in the effort of putting up Christmas decorations, it still looked like Christmas until April.
パーティーの時にオカリンと吹雪氏が倒れたっしょ。それでバタバタしちゃってちゃんと片付けできてないんだよね。
Ooh, I wonder if Fubuki has the same memories, whether or not she remembers the World War III war line.
俺と中瀬さんが倒れた。
Was that when the war line changed? Everyone remembered that I collapsed at the Christmas party, which means I come back to the same war line as the one I've been in before. If this was Russia's doing, it was terrifying to think they could control the war line to that degree. And there was one more thing. It worried me that Fubuki had collapsed too. I stood there, lost in thought. Daru and Mayuki looked a little concerned.
おかりん
そういえば中瀬さんの具合はどうなのかなって思ってな。
I quickly came up with an excuse.
ふぶきちゃんまだ入院してるんだ。
Oh, for that long?
入院？もう1ヶ月近く経ってるのにか？
本人は大丈夫だって言ってるんだけど、ちっとも退院させてもらえないんだって。
Does that have to do with the encephalitis case? Like maybe they think she's part of the cases? I've heard that lately, unless you were really, really sick, they wouldn't let you stay in the hospital for very long. Was Fubuki sick with something?
これの疑いが晴れないらしいね。
Suzawa whispered as she held up the page of a magazine she was reading. New encephalitis strikes worldwide. Are you in danger?
新型脳炎？
I borrowed the magazine. They were talking about this last November and many war lines before. It's reached Japan. Are you in danger? Cause unknown. Special edition. New encephalitis strikes worldwide. Sudden bouts of amnesia. Distorted sense of time. Forgetting the people around you. The inability to tell the difference between reality and daydreams. I'd seen a glimpse of it on the news. Outside of Japan, they'd seen almost 100 people, albeit with mild symptoms. In Japan, there were 10 people being kept at hospitals for examinations, or so it said. So it had made its way to Japan, and one of those 10 was Fubuki then. Was it transmittable by air? We didn't catch it at the Christmas party, did we? I knew that getting nervous wouldn't help anything, but still, I wondered.
ねえ、オカリンも一度病院で見てもらった方がいいんじゃないかな。
Oh.
あの時のオカリン、ふぶきちゃんよりもっと具合悪そうだったよ。
I wonder if they do an MRI, would they see something?
ああ、考えておくよ。
I gave a half-hearted answer to Mayuri and turned back to the magazine. Strange symptoms being found all over the world. Cause unknown. Sudden memory loss. Memories differ from those of the people around you. Losing all sense of the passage of time. Losing the ability to tell the difference between dreams and reality, and sometimes having waking dreams. The article was filled with things like that. This was like...
まるでリーディングシュタイナーみたいじゃないか。
And it matched exactly with what Shimoyama had told me in the other world line.
随分とリアルな夢を見たりするとか。ひどい時には白チュームというのかな。現実と夢の区別がつかなくなることもあると聞いた。中瀬君と非常によく似た白チュームを見る人たちがいる。しかも一人や二人じゃない。
I wonder back then if Fubuki possessed reading Steiner too. Maybe the reason she collapsed at the Christmas party wasn't some new disease, but the unexpected activation of reading Steiner. That would mean her diagnosis was wrong. The unnecessary tests and treatments they gave her wouldn't help a bit. It looked like I needed to talk to Fubuki. I ended up going over that day. She was at a large general hospital with a medical student department located in Otanomizu. It was close enough to Akihabara I could walk, and getting there was easy. Since she might get the wrong idea if I went alone. What wrong idea? I encouraged Mayuri to come with me. I hoped it would look like I was only coming as an afterthought. But it ended up being a bigger deal than I expected. When I heard that Mayuri was going, Yuki and Kaede decided to come too. Evidently, they'd all been to visit Fubuki several times before, and they knew exactly where she was located. They walked down the halls without hesitation. It was almost 8 when visiting hours ended, so we needed to hurry. But as we passed by a nurse's station, there was a minor commotion. A woman in her late 40s wearing a gray jersey was yelling at the doctors and nurses.
いい加減にしてよ。いつになったら退院できるの？
ですから、必要な検査と治療を行った後にですね。
治療なんて何にもしてないじゃない。しかもちょっとした検査のはずが、なんで1ヶ月も出られないの？仕事はどうしてくれるの？
Oh, so that must be like all 10 of them just passed out on the same day or something.
落ち着いてください。 この病気は未知の部分が多く、十分な検査を行って慎重に治療をしませんと危険なのです。
嘘。テレビじゃそんなに大変な病気じゃないから安心しろみたいに言ってたわよ。
Oh, gosh, we're getting medical advice from TVs, huh?
ですから、それは適切な検査と治療を行うことが前提です。先ほども突然のめまいを起こしたと看護師からの報告が来ています。
あれは夕飯が遅いからお腹が空いて貧血になっただけよ。私は元気なの。さっさと退院させて。
The woman was about ready to grab the doctor by the throat. Several female nurses held her back, then dragged her off somewhere with reassuring words.
びっくりしたわ。吹雪ちゃんは大丈夫かな？
The girls hurried even faster down the hallway. Fubuki was in a 4-person room at the very end of the hallway. We hesitantly peeked inside.
この声。
We could hear moaning coming from beyond the curtains surrounding Fubuki's bed. Mayuri went pale and hurriedly ripped them open.
吹雪ちゃん。
Wait, that's like... Does that look like a very similar device as to the one that... what is her face? Rias had Kagari in. Fubuki made a strange noise and spun around as we came in. I looked closer and saw that she was sitting on the bed with her legs crossed, watching a show on the LCD TV attached to it. Her eyes were red and swollen with tears, but given the fact that she had a stick of pocky in her mouth... Oh, pocky? She was probably just crying over a soap opera.
あ、え？おお、みんな、また来てくれたんだ。
Fubuki wiped away her tears and welcomed us with her usual smile.
マユシーはドキドキしちゃったよ。吹雪ちゃんが泣いてるって思って。
She looks to be in very good spirits.
紛らわしいんだから。ごめん。
Even as she apologized, she tossed another chocolate-coated stick into her mouth. Pocky is so good. Her hair was tied up, and she was wearing some kind of headgear. At first, I thought it was just that she was too lazy to do her hair, but evidently not. There were cords coming out of the headgear that were attached to a belt around her waist. Were they monitoring her brainwaves? As unobtrusively as possible, I took a look at the other patients around the room. They were all wearing the same headgear. They may have been giving it to all the encephalitis patients.
吹雪ちゃん、ごめんね。みんなで押しかけちゃって。とんでもない。大歓迎だよ。それに、オカリンさんまで来てくれるとは思わなかった。
Why are you blushing, girl? Fubuki stared at me intently. She'd never done that before, so I started to wonder if there was something on my face.
俺と同じように倒れたって言うから気になってたんだ。具合は？
全然平気。なんで退院できないのか本当わかんないよ。毎日検査するだけで他には何にもやることないし、退屈で。しかもさ、病室って携帯禁止なんだよね。メールしたくてもロビーまで行かないとダメだし、 夜9時になると勝手に消灯されちゃうから深夜アニメも見られないし、もう信じられない。
Her bed was surrounded with portable game consoles, magazines, a miniature DVD player, anything to stave off boredom. And given all the half-empty boxes of snacks, it was hard to believe the disease was as serious as they said on the news.
オカリンさんは大丈夫なの？
ああ、マユリにも言ったが、この通り、なんともない。
そっか、よかった。
She seemed truly relieved, but she was still staring at me. And suddenly, Kaede started to fidget. Not only that, she blushed, then glanced at me, and then almost started to cry. She was acting really weird.
ん？楓ちゃん？どうかした？
Kaede started fidgeting even more when she realized that everyone was looking at her, but she had no choice but to go over and whisper something in Fubuki's ear.
はあ？ふぶきちゃん、
The other girls tried to quiet Fubuki down. This was a hospital, and there were other patients in the room. We couldn't make a fuss.
だって皆さん、ちょっと聞いてくださいよ。ここにいらっしゃる来島楓さんってば、私とオカリンさんがみんなに隠れてこっそり付き合ってるんじゃないかって疑ってるんですよ。
Huh? Seriously, what is wrong with these girls? Now it was our turn to keep from shouting in surprise.
何を言い出すんだ。
だってまゆりちゃんの話だと、今日ふぶきちゃんのお見舞いに行こうと言い出したのってオカリンさんなんですよね。
That's all that it took?
それは、まあ、そうだが。
There was another reason, but I couldn't say that.
それにさっきからふぶきちゃんとオカリンさん愛おしそうに見つめ合ってるし。
Okay, projection much? You okay
愛
there?
おしそうに見つめてないから。そうじゃなくて、
I think if anything, we should phrase it probingly, not longingly, right? I suspect that she remembers everything. Fubuki tried to scratch her hair, but the headgear blocked her way and she gave up.
ちょっとリアルな夢をね、見ちゃって。
Oh, here we go.
リアルな夢。
I was startled. That may have been what I wanted to find out.
今日の夕方くらいかな。少しうとうとしてたんだ。やることもないし暇すぎちゃって。
Wait, hold on. Let me think about this for a little bit. So, I mean, most likely we had, like, this Okabe had been living and walking around, right? This whole time between the Christmas party and then now. So, it is entirely possible that Fubuki came back the same time that we did.
そしたらなんかね、あんまり詳しくは覚えてないんだけど、私とオカリンさんとユキさんが怖い人に車に乗せられてどこかへ連れて行かれる夢を見ちゃったんだ。
Okay, yep, she remembers.
私も出てくるの？うん。
It was the same. That meant Fubuki had experienced the same things I'd gone through in the other world line, and this evening would have been the same time I was experiencing it. I peeked through the curtains to make sure that none of the hospital staff were around.
みんな、悪いが、中瀬さんと二人で話をさせてくれないか。
Oh, Kaede, control your thoughts. Just please.
まさか。
違うって。
I wasn't really sure how to handle that reaction.
それはマユシーたちには聞かれたくないこと？
病気のことについてなんだ。
わかった。
Mayuri nodded and went outside the curtains. The other two looked bothered, but they followed her.
中瀬さん、君の話した夢なんだが、もしかして場所は沖縄じゃなかったか？
そうだね。うん、多分沖縄だったと思う。車に乗ってる時にそういう看板を見た気がする。
車に乗ってたのは俺と君、そしてユキさん、他に運転手と背の低い自衛隊の男。
うん。
男の名前は下山。
Oh. Fubuki suddenly went pale. A dream about being in a car in Okinawa could be written off as coincidence, but knowing the exact name of the man in that shared dream was a different matter entirely.
どうして？
その男は君に白チュームの話をした。ロシアの大統領の話も。そして俺たちは米軍基地に連れて行かれた。そこでマユリたちと合流して俺とは別れた。
Didn't Okabe spend more than a month in that world line, so must have Fubuki? Yeah, I think so. I'm curious. I don't know if we will, but I would love to hear her story as to, what she did for that month. Because all Okabe had been doing was to run from Tokyo, right, towards Okinawa. Fubuki was too stunned to speak. It's weird how she dreamed of a month's worth of time. See, you know how, you know how Okabe doesn't really have memories of the time that he lost, right? Like how we don't know what happened over the past month since the Christmas party until now in this particular world line. I don't know if for people who are experiencing these as quote-unquote dreams aren't like that. I wonder if she has both. As in, kind of like how Kagari was experiencing. So that to her she has, I don't know. You imagine Fubuki is the same? You imagine that she just kind of woke up this evening and found herself in a hospital? I'm shocked that she's so calm then. I wonder if we'll find out. There was no room for doubt. My suspicion turned into a certainty. That would be strange for other reasons then. Yeah, I'm curious. Fubuki had a stronger reading Steiner than most people and remembered the other world line as a relatively realistic dream.
夢の中でその下山って人が言ってた。オカリンさんも私と同じで別の世界の記憶を持ってるんだって。
ああ。
それって本当だったんだ。
You don't think the writers thought about implications much? Perhaps. Maybe we just have to fill in the blanks ourselves. Yeah, I mean, there must be a reason why she is so clearly calling it a dream. Which makes me suspect that she is she has like the normal, quote unquote, the normal memories, because otherwise, like, you know, even Okabe, who has been time traveling or, you know, hopping, world hopping for so much, still has that moment of confusion even when he arrives, right? So maybe that's why she considered it all a dream. In the other world line, she knew President Putin. She didn't have that world line's memories, right? So it's not really consistent reading Steiner in that way. Yeah. So why would she have them here? She's acting so freaking normal for not having that memory. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I mean, maybe we won't. I'll keep that in mind though. Keep that as an open item in the back of my head. It is very inconsistent. I mean, maybe that's what it is, right? Like maybe the thing is, Okarin is the one where it consistently manifests, and for everyone else, it's kind of like all over the place on the spectrum, and perhaps we'll just have to accept it as such, potentially, which is fine. I'm okay with that sort of assumption. I hesitated for a moment, but then I gave her a brief explanation of my own reading Steiner ability. The one thing I wanted to make sure she understood was that her dreams weren't caused by an illness. Is this knowledge something that we can divulge like this? Because in a way, Okarin is admitting to the fact that, like, it's a thing and he has the better version of it. But her reaction wasn't what I expected.
だったら他にもいるかも。病気じゃない人。
そうなのか。
暇だからみんなとね、よく話をするんだ。自分の見た夢の話。それがものすごくそっくりでびっくりすることがあって。ついさっきもね、隣の部屋に入院してる小学生の子が言ってた。ここで仲良くなった子なんだけど。
I'm not surprised. I feel like Fufuki would be the kind who would befriend little kids.
一度も行ったことないはずなのに、沖縄にいる夢を見たって。戦争で東京が燃えちゃって、自衛隊に助けられて沖縄へ逃げる夢だったって。
そうか。
Oh no. If that were true, then it wasn't just Fubuki. There were other patients that were being kept in a hospital for no reason, who didn't have any kind of disease at all.
お医者さんに話した方がいい？
いや、とてもじゃないが信じてもらえるとは思えない。それどころか、妄想がひどくなったって診断されたりでもしたら。
そっか。
他の人にもまだ黙っていた方がいい。騒ぎになったら大変だ。
And then Yuki poked her head through the curtain.
岡部さん、看護師さんがこっちに来ます。
面会時間おしまいですよ。
I looked at the clock. It was well past 8.
バタバタしちゃってごめんね、ふぶきちゃん。今度はゆっくりできるように早めに来るね。
Oh, Mayuri.
ああ、まゆし、言っちゃやだ。でもナースさんに怒られちゃうよ。そんなの別にいいよ。今夜は私と一緒に寝て。
Fubuki was back to her usual self. She grabbed Mayuri's hand and held it tight. She's impressive. I wonder if she has a secret identity. Kaede chuckled and forced her to let go.
なるべく来てあげるから。わがまま言っちゃダメ。
Sam, hi. Hi, Sam. Hi, hello? Sam, is that you? Hi. I mean, hi, Sam. Sam. Hi. We're in a hospital today. I mean, not we. Our friend is in the hospital. We came to visit her. But hello, Sam. Hi. Hi. Oh my god. Hello.
なるべくじゃやだよ。明日も明後日も放課後になったら来て。暇で死んじゃう。
A hospital, my yeah. She's fine. She just has memories from different worlds. I just put it that way. But we want to hide that we have these shared memories of an isekai and fly under the radar in that regard. And she is a phenomenal actress, if I may say so. Fubuki flailed her arms and legs about. It was a bit too deliberate, if you ask me. Kaede patted her on the head. I will never admit to me slightly reading the word duck incorrectly. And it was like, oh, excuse me, Sam. But here's the duck. All right, Fubuki. Sleep. You'll be fine.
はいはい。それじゃあまたね。
Strong duck. Yes, she is. She is beautiful. It? I don't know. Mayuri and Yuki went over to pat her too, and before long she looked like a little puppy in a kennel being petted. We left her behind and exited the room. I was the last to leave, and before I did, I turned around and saw Fubuki staring at us from the bed. Our eyes met, so I nodded a little. It's okay, you're not sick, so don't worry. I don't know if she understood what I meant, but she nodded back. Alright, please keep that thought concealed. Don't share it with anybody. Just don't tell anyone that we know things, alright? Ryan, Suzuha, I want to talk in private. I'll wait for you to contact me. We're popular today. Something in the short message made me feel very tense. After I said goodbye to the others, I contacted Suzuha. She told me to come to the top of Rarikan. When I arrived, she was standing silently on the dark roof. Oh, she gives off that energy. Like, not motherly, but the power that moms have. You know how like they could just cross their arms, stand across from the kitchen and look at you, and you come home and you tell them every horrible thing that you've ever done. There was no trace of a smile on her face. Her eyes shone in the darkness, and as she glared at me, I felt a shiver run down my spine. This was not the Suzuha I was used to. Maybe this was her true self. Whenever she wanted to talk to me, whatever she wanted to talk to me about, I was sure I wasn't going to like it.
悪かったね、オカリンおじさん。こんなところに呼び出しちゃって。
話ってなんだ？
あ、うん。私は なんていうか、話の駆け引きとか上手な情報の引き出し方とかそういうの苦手でさ。
From the way she stumbled over her words, it was clearly something she didn't want to talk about.
単刀直入に言ってくれ。以前のお前なら多分そうしていただろう。
そうだね。
もしかして俺のこと気遣ってくれてるのか。
What news do you bring, Suzuha?
そうか。ありがとう。
別にそんなんじゃ。
Suzuha got a little annoyed and tried to say something back to me, but ended up swallowing her words.
実は俺、最初はちょっとショックだったんだ。
Wait, am I missing something? What are you guys talking about? Why do I not know what you are saying? Are you trying to break this to me gently? Okay.
お前が俺のよく知ってる鈴葉と全然違ったから。
それは仕方ない。世界線が違えば育った環境もそこで出来上がる人格や考え方も変わる。
Oh, this is a different Suzuha, and she noticed that we are from a different world line, so she's trying to explain things. Okay, gotcha. That's very nice.
でも今はそうは思わない。鈴葉はやっぱり鈴葉だよ。
いや、やっぱり私は違う。オカリンおじさんのよく知ってる天音鈴葉じゃない。
鈴葉。
今日私はオカリンおじさんを尾行したんだ。
尾行？
そう、病院の中までずっと。
What did she say? Why would she do that? No, I knew the answer without even asking. There was only one reason she would do something like that.
俺が世界線を移動したことに気づいたのか。
あのクリスマスの夜におじさんにリーディングシュタイナーが発動したんじゃないかとずっと疑ってたんだ。あの日だけじゃない、今日もだ。それで確信に変わったよ。
This girl is sharp. I deliberately avoided telling Suzuha that the world line had changed. It was obvious that she would react like this.
聞かせて。ここはもう前の世界線とは変わってしまったのか。
聞いてどうする？
いいから答えて。これは命令だ。岡部倫太郎。
Hello? I never thought today that Suzuha point her gun at us would be here, but alas, here we are. What the hell? Alright. I gulped as I saw her pull a gleaming pistol out from her jacket. It was aimed right between my eyes.
冗談だよな。
冗談でこんなことはしない。
Okay, this makes me wonder what the heck we did in this world line in the future. She also decided to call us Okabe Rintaro. It felt like Suzuha was trying to revert to who she was when I first come to this beta world line. Hold on, let me read that again. It felt like Suzuha was trying to revert to who she was when I had first come to the beta world line. A woman who put her mission above everything else. She was so desperate, it hurt to even look at her. What would happen if she shot me here? I imagined myself lying on the ground in a pool of blood. In my mind, the image overlapped with Kurisu's dead body. I closed my eyes and grit my teeth. Hi Tom, enjoy the lurk. I closed my eyes and grit my teeth, tried to avoid a flashback. I spent the last month trying to escape to Okinawa in the middle of a war, but I still wasn't used to having a gun pointed right at me.
もう一度聞く。世界線は変動したのか？ここはもう以前とは違う世界なのか？
But Suzuha's hands were shaking a little as she held the gun. That would have been unimaginable when she'd first come here from the future. Maybe she was ashamed of it because she bit down on her teeth even harder. She must have bit her lip when she did so, because a single trail of blood ran down her jaw and dripped onto the ground. What's going on, girl? I stared at the blood as I answered.
大丈夫だ。俺たちは以前のままの世界線にいる。
I don't...
本当に
I don't know about that.
ああ。一度別の世界線に移動したのは事実だが、再び元に戻ったはずだ。
それをやったのは誰だ？ロシアか？
だと思う。
とうとうタイムマシンの実験を開始したってことか。
I nodded.
それならもう一刻の猶予もないじゃないか。連中が実験を続ければやがて取り返しのつかないことが起きる。シュタインズゲートに続く道が閉ざされてしまうかもしれない。私はバカだ。悩んでる場合じゃなかった。もう説得なんて終わりだ。
Oh no. Suzuha, it's not your responsibility. I mean, it's not her weight to carry.
どうする気だ？
岡部倫太郎、私の命令に従ってもらう。一緒に7月28日に行くんだ。
Do we have fuel to do that?
拒否したら。
拒否なんてさせない。
お前はいいのか？それで。
何？
この世界線をなかったことにしてしまって、それで。
うるさい！
Oh. There was a horrible ringing in my ears and a fierce pain in my eardrums. A second later, the smell of gunpowder passed by my face. She really shot at me.
次は脅しじゃなくて当てる。
She was glaring at me as if she was about to cry. Oh, Suzu. We stared at each other in silence. I tried as hard as I could to come up with something to calm her down, but nothing came to me. Nothing I could come up with would get her to change her mind. What should I do?
すずは、オカリン、何やってんだお。
Oh, Daru, no. Suddenly, I heard Daru's voice. I turned and saw that he had just come out of the door near the stairs.
父さん、どうして？
マユシとアマネシからメールがあったんだ。なんか鈴葉がオカリンを呼び出したって言うからさ、嫌な予感がして探してたんだお。あと差出人不明のメールがあった。
差出人不明。
Oh?
この場所のマップの URL を送りつけられた。もしやと思って真っ先に来てみたわけ。そしたら銃声がしたからびっくりしたっつうの。
Daru's whole body was covered in sweat. Even as he spoke, large beads were appearing on his forehead. He must have really hurried.
で、鈴葉、その銃は何なん？
いや、鈴葉は別に何も。
何もなかったら銃なんて撃たないっしょ、上皇。ほら鈴葉、話してみるといいのだぜ。
父さんだって本当は分かってるくせに。
何が？
世界線が変動したことだよ。ロシアがタイムマシンの実験を始めたんだ。
それって確定なん？
だから焦ってるんじゃないか。このままじゃ何もかも終わりなんだ。シュタインズゲートに到達できない。第三次世界大戦も防げない。大勢の人が死んで、母さんも死んで、何もかも回避できない。
それは困るお。
I'm sorry. This is a little bit of the language background that I wanted to share with you guys. He said それがkomaru. Komaru is kind of like I'd be troubled, I would be concerned. And it's just such a untimely, funny response to what Suzuha is saying, right? She's talking about like the end of the world as we know it, and Daru's like, "Oh, that's concerning to me. That I would be worried about that."
でもだからってさ、オカリンを脅して無理やり過去へ連れて行ったとして、それでうまくいくわけ
？That's a good question. Daru's normally easygoing expression had suddenly turned serious.
タイムマシンや世界線のことを研究し始めて、なんとなく分かってきたんだよね。オカリンの言う通り、普通のやり方じゃ何度やってもマキセ氏の命を救うことなんてできないんじゃないかって。
父さんまで何を言って。
世界線のルールや因果率がそんな簡単に変えられるんなら、オカリンの言うアルファ世界線でマユ氏の命だって救えたはずっしょ。
Alright, let's go to tips. The principle of causality, a scientific and philosophical principle that states that every event has a cause, and it is by that cause that an effect is produced. However, quantum physicists have observed microscale phenomena that do not appear to obey the principle of causality. The theory of relativity is founded upon this principle.
じゃあどうしたらいいって言うんだ。
Daru brought his fists up to his chest.
どうすべきかを僕らは研究してるわけっしょ。
でももう時間が。
大丈夫、僕に任せとけって。絶対に何とかしてみせる。
Daru, you've got this.
たまには父さんの言うことも素直に聞いてほしいのだぜ。
Daru's voice was strong and kind in a way you'd never imagine he was capable of. He softly took the gun from Suzuha's hands. She didn't resist. Oh, Daru.
ほら、銃なんかよりもっと大切なものを忘れてろ。今日みたいな寒い日にこそこれを使うべき。
Daru took something out of his pocket. He pressed it into Suzuha's hands. Gloves! Oh. You're here, but lurking? Welcome in, Hurt. Happy Friday. No, it's Saturday where you are already, isn't it? I also didn't share my link. I thank you for the reminder. I'll do that now. Where? Let me toss that in there real quick. It's 35 minutes past midnight. Just into the new day. We're having a beautiful daughter to father moment on someone that I did not believe could have no sons. Junie. Ben. How are you? Wild, welcome in. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. It's not a new day until sleep and wake. Yes. Oi. To the bang. All right. It was a pair of handmade gloves. Did you make it? Did Amane Yuki make it? I have so many questions. But unironically, it's cute. I like it. I would wear those. No. Poor little girl. And thank you, as always, for the resubscribe, Wild. Ben, I know. It was the present that Yuki had given her at the Christmas party. Oh. This tells you how out of it I was yesterday. I remember it well. I did not remember it well. Oh.
私
When he gave her the gloves, warm tears started to flow down her face.
どうしていいのかわかんないわかんなくなっちゃった
Oh, gosh. I feel like, I appreciated like this aspect of Zero, where I think it gave the humanity back to a lot of the characters. Maybe not, the humanity in like the good and the bad, right? Showed us their vulnerability, it showed us how they can be unbrave and not be the hero and not be sort of that anime character that Steins Gate originally make them out to be.
助けて父さん助けてお願い
Oh, Suzuha. It's incredible because I know like Daru has always been like very technically strong and reliable for us. But like emotionally, I felt like I've always seen him as someone who is very immature in a way. And it's not until like you really look at the father and daughter relationship between Suzuha and Daru, that you realize that he is a phenomenal father. Suzuha's shoulder shook as the tears poured down. I turned my eyes toward the time machine, a silhouette in the
俺
darkness.
はもう乗らないって決めたんだ。
No matter what Daru said, no matter what Suzuha threatened, no matter how Suzuha threatened me, I wasn't going back to the past. I can't look back. Oh, Suzu. The next thing she knew, Suzuha was inside the time machine, wrapped up in a blanket. She must have been crying a lot because she hadn't even noticed that she had come inside the time machine or that Rintaro had left. Her dad was next to her. He was also wrapped up in a blanket, and he was looking at her.
落ち着いた？
Oh. It's like 2 burritos. That's her dad. That is her dad. Yes. Are we going for the next ending? Yes. Yes, we are. We're going for... I'm looking at my little charts. Oh, this is gonna be bad. It has the name Gehenna in it. Gehenna Stigma. We're going for that next. Yeah, that is her dad in the cap. He is, well, Suzuha is time traveling from the future. So this is like your grown-up daughter comes back to see you, essentially. Not you, but comes back to see Daru.
今何時？
She wiped away the tears as she asked.
もうすぐ日付が変わるよ。
ごめん。こんな時間まで付き合わせて。
It's your dad.
平気平気。前にも言ったっしょ。父さんのこといくらでも頼っていいのだぜって。
うん。
I'm back.
Hello. Oh, that worked. Oh, you had to press the button, didn't you, Lenya? It didn't work as a walk-on command. La la la, Lenya. Lenyan. The time machine's hatch was still open, and the cold air was pouring in. One of these days, I swear to God, one of these days I'll get it to work. Not that I know how to fix it. I have no idea how to fix it. You were playing Remnant from the Ashes. What is that? I'm sorry, should I know what that is? No, of course not. Okay. No, I meant that as innocently as I possibly could. As in, like, whether or not it's that a... Oh, it's a Souls-like with shooting. Cool. Did you have fun? I feel like I wasn't ever there. Did you stream Souls games, Lydia? Because I feel like I've never seen it before. Did super fun. You played with Griffin and Cody. Oh, gotcha. Well, let me try to think of what you missed so far today. Suzuha pointed a gun at us, so that's something. And then we also, not then, but we also found out that Fubuki has reading standards, so she remembers World War III like we did. The whole trip to Okinawa thing. She was there, she remembers it. And Daru and Suzuha are having a beautiful father and daughter moment that I'm really gonna cherish. We streamed Covain a long time ago, started Dark Souls 3. You should bring it back sometime. Assuming that you didn't finish Dark Souls 3. Just takes time. Each time they spoke, they could see their breath turn white. We have 2 burritos. The time machine was still silent. They could use the life support system in the cockpit to keep out the cold, but she didn't want to waste the energy. That is so cute. She rubbed her cheeks with her glove-covered hands. The gloves that her mom made. The gloves Yuki gave her were very warm, and her hands were the one part of her that wasn't cold.
僕さ、いつか必ずオカリンも僕らと一緒に、いや違うな。僕らの先頭に立って指揮を取ってくれるって信じてるんだよね。
Suzuha was a little surprised to see Itaru speaking seriously. Normally, all Itaru ever did was screw around.
未来ガジェット研究所はオカリンがいてこそだから。
We need to bring Hoen Kyoma back. He's not back in this world line yet.
今はちょっと腐ってるけど、きっと立ち直る。同時に法院京馬も蘇るわけ。
Oh yeah.
不死鳥の名は伊達じゃない的な、中二病オツ的な。その時が来たら、多分オカリンは自分からタイムマシンに乗るよ。鈴葉に言われなくってもね。
Suzuha realized Itaru was trying to make her feel better. Suddenly, deep in her heart, she felt a little warmer.
父さん、すごく恥ずかしいこと言ってるの自覚してる？
Oh, thank you. I actually think the 100th person who followed me was JB. I think. I'm not sure. I think though. Thank you though. It was a nice surprise yesterday. Do you realize how embarrassing the things you're saying are? We're relying on a Chuni bill to save the world. It's beautiful.
ですよね。オカリン本人の前じゃ口が裂けても言えないな。
私、明日までに手紙書くよ。オカリンおじさんに。
Because she's too tsundere to apologize face to face.
直接顔見て話すと、また変な感じになっちゃうから。ごめんなさいっていうのと、もうちょっとだけもがいてみるって。だから、オカリンおじさんにも考えてみてほしいって。そうは言っても、実はもうあんまり時間はないんだけど。
時間ないって？ロシアが実験を開始したから？
Because the world line will be too confusing for us to untangle.
実はタイムマシンを制御してる量子コンピューターの内蔵電池、もうすぐ切れそうなんだ。
Run out of fuel? I thought we shut off the... okay. Quantum computer, a computer capable of using quantum superposition in order to perform parallel processing. While modern-day computers switch between two signals, 0 and 1, to perform their calculations, a quantum computer is capable of performing calculations with those two signals at the same time. This allows for exponentially faster calculations to the point where it is expected that quantum computing will change everything about the world as we know it. However, practical quantum computers have not yet been built.
マジ？
前に話したよね。かがりを探すために1998年から何度もマシンを使ったって。それは当初の計画にはなかった行動なんだ。当然マシンを制御するコンピューターの使用回数も予定より多くなって。
それでバッテリーが消耗したっつうことか。
マシンそのものの燃料よりそっちの方が深刻なんだよ。マシンを正確に制御してジャンプさせることが難しくなる。
バッテリーだったら交換とか充電とかすればいいんじゃね？
無理だよ。
ちょっとだけその内蔵電池見させてもらっていいかな。
Suzuha nodded and pointed to a piece at the core of the machine. Itaru leaned his huge body forward to take a look, but soon he gave up a moan of confusion.
なんぞこれ。
The battery was the same size as a car's, but it was the product of 2036's technology, and Itaru lived in the year 2010. There was probably no way he could understand it. From Itaru's perspective, it might as well have been a black box of unknown technology. A quick look wouldn't tell him anything about how it was built or how it would work. That was one reason why Suzuha had agreed to let him look at it.
2010年の技術で何とかするのは無理だと思う。言うなればそれは使い切りの電池と同じ状態ってこと。充電も交換もできない。
Huh.
この時代のバッテリーか発電機に乾燥するのは？
Suzuha shook her head helplessly.
とっくに試したよ。でも不可能だった。
Significant design flaws, Daru. Daru, think upon your mistakes in the future. Of the future? Of the future.
ルミ姉さんに頼んで車のバッテリーを用意してもらったんだ。トラックとかに積まれてる大きなやつ。繋いでみたら1秒持たなかった。
なんでと？
ガソリンを使う発電機も試してみたけど、それもダメだった。ガソリンが何ガロン必要なのか見当もつかない。だいたいそんな量のガソリンマシンには積めないし。ルミ姉さんね、ものすごく無理をしてくれて最新の燃料電池まで手に入れてくれたんだよ。
But even that wasn't good enough.
未来の技術ってすげえのな。こんな小さなものがそんな大電力を賄ってるっつうわけ？
Itaru was staring in amazement at the futuristic battery.
SF 映画みたく生ゴミを電気に変えられたらな。で、このバッテリーあとどれくらい持ちそうなん？
多分あと1回か2回ジャンプしたらそれで終わり。
So that's why Suzuha was saying back towards the end of the last game, that's why she was talking about 1 to 2 more jumps, is because of the computer, not because of the fuel.
たったそれだけ？
しかもこうやってマシンが停止してる間もさ、重力場や座標点の計測装置なんかはずっと動いてるから、ジャンプしなくてもいずれ電池切れになる。残ったバッテリーで正確なジャンプをするにはあと半年が限界だろうね。 マキセ・クリスを救いに行けるタイミングもそこまでってことになる。
6 months. Suzuha grabbed onto Suzuha grabbed onto Itaru's back and took a deep breath. It was squishy, but it felt good.
バッテリーが切れてマシンのコントロールを失ったらどうなるんだろう。カーブラックホールの制御も効かなくなるし、イベントホライゾンの向こうから永遠に戻ってこられないとか。
Oh, interesting. See, now I wonder, you know how like in the original game there were what's his face? Okarin had these dreams of, you know, him being trapped into an event horizon, and also he had these dreams of like a barren world, right, where Mayuri came to save him. I wonder if these are all either homage to them, potentially. Let's see. Event horizon, also known as a Schwarzschild surface. In a black hole, there exists a point beyond in which even light can no longer escape the black hole's immense gravity. The boundary is called the event horizon. Because light and other electromagnetic waves are responsible for conveying information, nothing that occurs within the event horizon can be observed from the outside. That is the reason why black holes appear black. No light can escape from the center. Kerr black hole, a black hole whose existence has been theoretically predicted. Unlike the other black holes, the singularity at the center of a Kerr black hole rotates. As well as this, while other black holes have their singularities at a single point, the Kerr black hole's singularity is shaped like a ring.
縁起でもないこと言ったらダメだお。
あ、ごめん。でもそこってさ、どんな場所なのかな。今みたいに静かな時間が永遠に続くのかな。
Suzuha's falling asleep. That's what we're seeing, like all the eye blinking. Oh.
だったらそれでもいいな。
As she clung to her father's warm back, Suzuha started to feel very sleepy. If she let her guard down for a moment, she was sure to fall asleep. Hi, Amazon. Welcome in. Happy Friday. She'd been trained to fight. She'd been trained to fight it on the battlefield. If this wasn't the battlefield... Hey! She'd been trained to fight it on the battlefield, but this wasn't the battlefield, and she was exhausted from crying. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to let herself sleep once in a while. Your father's got your back, girl. She sat down and held her knees like a child, then softly closed her eyes.
そっか。結局鈴葉はこの夏までに必ず行っちゃうんだな。たとえオカリンがどんな結論を出すとしても。
Just before she fell asleep, she heard her father talking to himself. She's leaving before the summer.
これは、まさにパラダイス。
Oh, we're taking the two genius girls out on a walk. All right. Maho's eyes were shining like a little girl's. Not many girls will look like that if you brought them to a place like this. I was the one who brought her here, and she seemed to have forgotten about me entirely. She was wandering down the narrow corridors where all the computer parts were, as if in a daze. Then she came to a stop in front of one of them. Inside the shop were lots of little plastic bins filled with junk parts of all sizes. They'd been taken off discarded PCs and appliances. Each of them was obviously dirty, and lots of them were covered in dust.
これ一体何の基板かしら。まるで美術品みたいに美しいパターンをしているわ。しかもアルミナ基板だなんて。
ああ。
IFX008 イメージセンサーですって。信じられない。博物館にあってもおかしくないものがなんでこんなところに転がっているの。
I love Maho. Oh my gosh.
おお。
秋葉原、聞きしに勝る場所だわ。
Watching the ecstasy on Maho's face creeped me out a little.
真帆先輩は実はこういう人なのよ。
Oh wait, okay. I should have reacted earlier, but this timeline we have Kurisu. Amadeus Kurisu. Kurisu spoke from inside my phone. Ooh? Maho had said she wanted to go out with Kurisu today. So I ended up going on a strange date with two girls at once. This might be another test of Amadeus' capabilities.
俺もここは何度か来たことがあるが、あんな顔してパーツをめでる人間にはこれまで一人しかお目にかかったことがない。
See, I feel like Daru and Maho should end up as really great friends, but hasn't happened yet.
分かった。橋田さんのことでしょ。
ああ。
さすがにあの人と同類扱いするのは先輩がかわいそうよ。
What? No. No, no, no. Daru is phenomenal. I don't know what you're talking about.
あんたの話を聞く限りだと橋田さんってとんでもない変態だから。
And also a wonderful friend, as well as a phenomenal father. Please.
そうだな。ヒヤジョさんに失礼だった。
It was early afternoon on a Sunday. There was a reason I come with Maho to the computer parts shop. Dr. Leskinen and Maho were heading back to America in a few days. She was leaving soon, so she wanted me to show her around Akihabara like I'd promised. That's what her message had said. So we met in front of the station in the morning, and I asked her where she wanted to go. This was the result. By the way, our first stop was Yodobashi, and our second, soft map. I'd already taken her to a lot of used PC and retro PC shops tucked away in tiny alleys.
ヒヤジョさんはこういうパーツが好きなのか？
パーツというか組み立てるものが好きなのね。子供の頃は日本製のプラスティックモデルをよく作ったわ。
Plastic models. Plastic model, a model made from plastic parts that come in a kit, put together by following a manual. I miss those things. Those things are fun.
ゲルマニウムラジオなんかも組み立てた口ですか？
That I know nothing about. Crystal radios? A type of radio that uses a crystal diode, often germanium, as a detector and does not require a power supply. Since they're simple enough for anyone to build, the crystal radio is a common choice for science projects among elementary school students. Interesting.
ハンダ付けでよくやけどをしたものよ。
Solder. Alright. I guess we just have to keep coming back. An alloy comprised primarily of lead and tin that is used to join metal components together.
私もです。
みんな同じなのね。
Probably not everybody. Actually, I assumed that it was a minority of people who soldered in their homes growing up.
ずっと見ていたい。どうして私もっと早くここに来なかったのかしら。
It felt like she was never going to leave unless I dragged her out. I finally managed to succeed in getting her away from the parts shop by telling her it was time to eat. We went out to the main road. This area was close to the station, so it was especially crowded. Thanks to the crowds of people waiting to cross the street, you couldn't even walk in a straight line. Now then, where to eat? Got it! My first idea was making plus Nyan Nyan, but after the way she reacted last time, it was probably best to avoid it. Still, Sampo wasn't a good choice for someone new to Akihabara. Kansen? Or maybe Kitchenjiro? Gogo curry would work too. Oh yeah, curry. As I stood there thinking, Maho stopped moving in front of the arcade directly ahead of us. Evidently, she was looking at the crane games on the first floor.
ちょっとだけ覗いてみてもいいかしら。
I nodded. Maho walked up to the crane machine and pressed her face against the glass like a little kid. Inside the glass were characters from @channel memes, all of different sizes. Maybe Maho was a secret @channeler like Kurise? They were pretty close, so it was possible. I leaned over to Maho and whispered a magic spell into her ear.
ヌルポ。
Alright, what is this? Nopo, an old @channel term, first seen on the programming board in 2003. Nopo is short for no pointer exception, which is an error seen in the Java programming language. When someone announces Nopo, the correct response is to smack them on the head and say "Ga." Let's see.
はい。
Oh, she doesn't know. I just confused her.
何そのぬるっていうのは。
なんでもない。忘れてくれ。
Kuresu was glaring cold daggers at me from inside the smartphone, but I decided to ignore it.
ヒアジョさん、そのぬいぐるみ欲しいのか？
ええ、かわいいじゃない。ねえクリス。先輩？何？どうして慌てているの？
なんでもないです。
Oh, it's time to tease Kuresu. Let's go.
ちょっと意外だな。さっきパーツが好きって言ってたから、感性としては男に近いのかもって思ってた。
岡部、デリカシーないわね、あんたは。もっとうまいこと言いなさいよ。ギャップが素敵だとかなんとか。
あ、すまない。
We're not trying to date her though. Why are you apologizing, Okabe?
いいわよ、別に。実はね、このぬいぐるみ、クリスがベッドルームに置いていたのよ。
Bet you didn't expect that, Kurisu. Your friend is exposing you.
そうなのか？
先輩！
もしかして通販か何かでアメリカまで取り寄せてたのか？
別にどうだっていいでしょ。
さすが隠れチャンネラーだな。
ットチャンネラーって聞いたことない。
Ah, no, that's not gonna work.
ヌルポ。
Even as part of Amadeus, she hasn't changed a bit.
ヒアジョさん、クリスはこれがなんていうキャラなのか教えてくれたか？
いいえ、何度か聞いてみたけど永遠とはぐらかされたわ。
だろうな。
だからずっと気になっていたのよ。岡部さんは知っているの？
まあ。
岡部。
A chill ran down my spine as I heard the angry voice from the smartphone.
俺も知らないんだ。
そう。
Sheesh, I defended your honor, Kurisa. You better be grateful.
ちょっと挑戦していいかしら。
Maho took her wallet out of her pocket and put a 100 yen coin into the machine.
このアームを左右と前後に操作してぬいぐるみをつかめばいいのね。
もしかして初めてなのか？
真帆先輩はレースゲームしかやらないですもんね。
そういうこと。
Oh, okay, these things are cute. Maho nodded and pushed the control button, managing to move the arm directly over her target. She smiled,
簡
satisfied.
単なものね。あとはアームが降りて勝手に掴んでくれるんでしょ？
あ、いや、普通はそうなんだが。
The arm went straight for the doll, but the ankle was slightly off and it didn't grab it right.
おかしいわ。どういうことなの？
That's a fabulous face. Oh, Maho. That's what happened. That's what happens your first time. I love her face, right? Maho gave it several more tries, but didn't seem to get the hang of it. And this is how an addict is born. She groaned and took her last 300 yen to the back of the arcade. She walked over to a game with a red and white two-tone Formula One car on the side of the cabinet. She slid inside, still angry. I remember that one was a CG racing game based off of real circuits.
岡部。岡部。
なんだ？
ここは男らしさを見せるところよ。
Again, Kurisu, we're not trying to court her.
男らしさ？
先輩の代わりにあんたがぬいぐるみを手に入れなさいっていうこと。
ああ、なるほど。
And then give it to Maho was what she was trying to say. Manliness aside, after seeing how badly she wanted it, I did want to try and help her. I took some coins out of my pocket and checked how much money I was carrying. Okay, it's been a while, but let's try this.
とはいえ、俺もこういうゲームは得意じゃないんだが。
Even so, I was sure I could do better than Maho. May as well give it a try. We grabbed absolutely nothing. Oh dear. Kurusu's face on the side is quite entertaining. And so, after trying several times, whether it was luck or skill, I managed to get the stuffed animal easier than I expected. It's cute!
よし
ナイス。
I stuffed it into a bag and went back to the racing game Maho was playing. For some reason, there was a crowd of about 10 people around it. I bet Maho is a pro gamer at racing games.
すっげえ。あの子何者だよ。俺に聞くなって。
小学生か？ありえないテクだぞ。これレコード出るんじゃね？
The crowd was whispering to one another. All of them seemed to be amazed. I made my way into the crowd and looked at the screen. The game Maho was playing was one of those where you had to clear each stage in a set time or else it would be game over. With each race, the course got more and more difficult. And she was placing first every time with ease. As the crowd watched in awe, she finally made it to the end of the last stage, well ahead of the other racers. And she had set a new record. She had a satisfied smile on her face as she looked at the flashy "Congratulations" graphic at the ending screen. Then she noticed a crowd around her and her body jerked.
おめでとうございます。当店のベストレコードです。
An arcade employee walked over to Maho and started to clap. Then the crowd started to clap as well.
え？あ、
Maho's face went beet red. I should probably help her. I pushed my way through the crowd and grabbed her hand to pull her out.
はい。
I'd never seen her disobedient before. We made our way through the hustle and bustle and finally got out of the arcade. Maho sighed in relief.
うかつだったわ。
何が？
つい熱くなってしまって本気を出してしまったの。
これのせいか？
I handed her the bag with my prize in it.
何？
She opened the bag and took out the stuffed animal.
これ取れたの？
運が良くてね。君にプレゼントするよ。
いいの？
俺が持ってても仕方ない。
そう？じゃあ遠慮なくいただくわ。
She's adorable. I like her a lot. Maho hugged the doll tight to her chest with the innocent smile of a child. Seeing how happy she was made me happy too.
クリスが亡くなった後ね、お母さんから形見をいろいろともらったわ。
That's why?
けどこれはクリスがとても可愛がっていたからってお母さん自分のベッドルームに飾っていたのよ。
If you didn't know it was from an ad channel meme, it was actually pretty cute. I could see her keeping it as a memory of her daughter.
だけどクリスの実家がね、ああいうことになってぬいぐるみも燃えてしまったと思うの、きっと。
Okay, this girl actually has a heart of gold. That is so sweet.
だからこれはアメリカのお母さんにプレゼントしていいかしら。
もちろん。喜んでもらえるならそれが一番いい。
ありがとう。
Right?
さてと、次はどうする？他に見てみたいところはあるか？
I thought we were going to eat and we haven't eaten yet. Come on,
と言って
let's go
も、
eat.
アニメやゲームのショップなんかは 興味ないよな。
クリス、悪いけどしばらく岡部さんと二人きりにしてくれる？
先輩、ついに自分の気持ちに素直になることにしたんですね。
Again, not what you think.
岡部、ちゃんとしなさいよ。
はあ？
先輩、頑張って。それじゃ
ヒア城さん。
行きたい場所もう一つあるんだけれど。
そうか。どこだ？
Is this someplace she didn't want Kurisa knowing about?
あそこよ。わかるでしょ？
Where she passed away? The smile was gone from Maho's face. She looked like she'd come to some kind of decision. And then I realized where she wanted to go.
ラジカンに連れて行って。
Radikan. And she wanted me to take her there. I understood immediately. Because that was where Makise Kurisa had died. I'd gone up to the roof several times since then. The time machine was there, and Suzuha and Daru would go up once in a while to do maintenance. Just a few days ago, Suzuha had called me out there and pointed a gun in my face. But even so, I'd never been to that storeroom on the 8th floor where it had happened. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Just remembering what happened was enough to cause a severe flashback. There was no way I could visit the site of her death.
大丈夫？ずいぶん顔色が悪いけれど。クリスのこと思い出してしまうの？
そうだろうな。
辛いならついてこなくてもいいわ。私一人で行くから。
But her face was colorless. Going there had to be hard on her too. But even so, she was trying to come to grips with Kurisa's death. I wanted to help her remember our friend. Radikan was going to be renovated. There wasn't a lot of time.
いや、一緒に行くよ。
Half of the shops had already been moved to another building to make way for the renovation. But many of the shops on the 7th floor were still open. Six months ago on July 28th, I killed Kurisa on the floor just above where I was standing, with my own hands.
ここなの？
いや、事件があったのはこの上の階だと聞いている。
I wasn't supposed to have been at the scene of Kurisa's death. I'd already asked Mayuri and Daru not to tell anyone.
上には何が？
イベント会場と、あとは倉庫とかになってる。
行ってみてもいいのかしら？
今は立ち入り禁止のはず。
But the ropes that always blocked off the way to the 8th floor wasn't there today. I could hear loud voices and laughter from above. Since it was a day off, there must have been some kind of event going on upstairs.
大丈夫そうね。
Maho headed up the stairs first. I slowly dragged myself up the stairs. We passed by the event hall into the back. It looked like there was no one around. nothing had changed in 6 months.
ここだ。
Oh god. This CG is like giving me PTSD. The amount of times we went through this in the last game. Oh my god. This time, the storeroom was locked.
そうこんな場所で
I could see her lips trembling as she whispered. It seemed strange. This was the place where Kurisa had died, covered in blood, and yet, nearby, the rest of the world continued on like it didn't care. And now that I've come back, even though this was where the one I loved had died.
もどかしいわ。私は物理学者ではないから相対性理論のことを詳細に理解しているわけではないけれど、時間と空間が同列だというのなら、なぜ空間と同じように時間も容易に移動できないのかしらね。今私たちは空間的にはクリスの死と同じ軸上にいるのよ。なのに時間軸がほんの少しずれているというだけで手出しすることすらかなわない。あなたこの前クリスにアマデウスの方だけど面白い質問をしたわよね。タイムマシンは作れるかどうかって。
ああ。
ぜひ研究してみてほしいわ。真っ先に私が友人テストに名乗り出るから。
I couldn't tell from the tone of her voice if she was serious or joking. She laughed, sadly. Time machines are real, you know. And there's one right above us. What would she do if I told her that? Would she blame me for giving up on saving Kurisu and say that she'd go back to the past herself?
岡部さん、クリスが亡くなった時の状況について教えてくれない？
Why would she be so sure that we have this information?
私、詳しくは知らないの。
俺だってろくに知らないよ。前にそう話さなかったか？
でもアメリカにいた私よりは詳しいでしょ。クリスはどうしてこんなところに来たのかしら。
Not something that we're supposed to know.
クリスが死んだ時、すぐそこのイベントホールでは今日みたいにイベントが行われていたそうね。
We could hear the occasional sounds of laughter coming from the event hall.
中鉢博士、去年の夏ニュースになった。ロシアに亡命してタイムマシンに関する論文を書いたって。その論文の内容はそれはひどいものだったらしいけれど、ただそれでピンときたのよ。アメリカのクリスの家に放火した連中もロシア語を話していた。これ偶然かしら。
She's sharp.
私は何らかの関連性があると思う。
Could we confide in her?
だから中鉢博士について調べようと思ったんだけど、不思議なことに驚くほど情報がないのよ。ネットで検索しても本名すら出てこない。
Oh, interesting.
中鉢博士について言及しているブログやサイトを見に行ってもほとんどは閉鎖してるわ。しかもこの半年ほどで立て続けに。
All of them disappeared in the last 6 months.
ねえ、一体クリスの周りで何が起きていたの？ もしかして今もまだそれは続いているの？あなたは何を隠しているの？
Her eyes were pure and sought the truth. Kurisu used to get that exact same look in her eyes all the time, but
好奇心で足を突っ込まない方がいい。俺はもうたくさんだ。
今更だわ。私は片足を突っ込んでしまっているのよ。それに考えてしまうのよ。この前襲われたのももしかすると私のせいじゃないかって。
君のせい？狙われる理由があるのか？
私は。
And then she paused for a moment. Oh.
私はクリスの遺産を持っている。
Wait a second. Hold on. Let me think about this for a second. So I guess in this world line, she still has the laptop and a hard drive, but the world line, a couple world lines ago, someone had given Kurisa's laptop to Daru to crack. Was that you, Maho? Belongings. Some of Kurisa's belongings? What does she mean? Maho had said that after Kurisa died, she'd gone to her home in America and received some of her belongings from her mom. Was she saying now that the attack was because of that? My mind began to race. Russia, where Dr. Nakabashi had sought asylum. The people who attacked Kurisu's home spoke Russian. And just a few days ago, the Russians, probably, had experimented with changing the past. Suzuha had said that World War III would be set off by the time machine. The time machine? Nakabashi's paper? The paper he'd written about the time machine. The cause of World War III. A miraculous, nightmarish paper which would cause the death of 5.7 billion people. The time machine he discussed at his press conference was a ripoff of John Titor's. But the one in his paper was different. I've never managed to read it though. My guess was that Kurisu had showed him the original that she'd written on July 28th, and his paper was an inferior copy. Kurisu had written down instructions for making a time machine. I shuddered. I quickly booted up the Rhine program on my smartphone. I paged through my chat logs. That hard drive and the laptop contained the data for the original version of Nakabashi's paper, or more accurately, Kurisu's paper.
Daruのところに持ち込まれたクリスのノート PC とハードディスク。
Gosh. Okay, so that means Daru is in danger. If he is holding it physically.
あれの解析を依頼したのは。
I looked at Maho. She looked back at me without smiling. And she nodded.
ええ、私よ。
From Maho's perspective, there were too many things about Kurisu's death that didn't make sense. Maybe that was why she had decided to look into why Kurisu was killed. Of course she'd assume there were hints hidden inside her laptop and hard drive. But if my hypothesis was right, the laptop was too dangerous to be allowed to exist. It was Pandora's box with the power to unleash World War III.
どうして隠していた？
最初はあなたと橋田さんの関係を知らなかった。橋田さんに頼んだのは本当に偶然よ。そしてあなたはクリスのことについて何か隠しているように思えた。そんなあなたに正直に全て話せるわけないでしょ。信用していないというわけではないのだけど、クリスのことについては慎重になった方がいいと思って。
ああ、それについては正解だよ。アマデウスのテスターになることを反対しなかったのもそういう打算があってのことか。
打算なんて言わないで。私はただクリスの友達であるあなたのことをもっと知りたかった。
クリスの秘密を手に入れるために。
あの子のことをもっと知りたかったのよ。
She glared right back as if challenging
ダ
me.
ルはもう解析したのか？
まだよ。だからアメリカに帰る前に最後にもう一度あなたと話をしようと思ったの。
So that's why she brought me here? I needed to call Daru right now. Phone or Ryan, which was better? Well, you did say call, right? We'll call him. Please be safe.
はい、もしもーし。
今ラボにいるか？
いや、
じゃあどこにいる？
家で絶賛エロゲ中。どうかしたん？
I didn't need to know that. Continue.
お前の裏のバイトの件で話がしたい。
あ、あれか。なんかマキセ氏の情報を思い出した？
ああ。
Of course, that was a lie. He could be in danger if I didn't get that laptop right now. I glanced over at Maho.
じゃあさ、LINE で送ってもらえるかな？
直接会って話をしよう。ラボで合流できないか？
今手が離せないから夕方でもいい？
エロゲなんて後でいくらでもできるだろう。
さあせん、家でエロゲしてるってのは嘘。実は今バイト中で手が離せないんだよね。
Oh.
バイト？
Well, I was lying to him too, so I didn't really have room to talk.
じゃあ本当はどこにいる？手が離せないならこっちから行く。とにかく今すぐに話したい。
あんまオカリンには教えたくなかったんだけどな。やばげな仕事も多いから。まあいいや。わかった。これから言うところに来てよ。
The location he gave me was still in Akihabara. It was less than 5 minutes away. Down an alley, a few turns off the main strip, all the hustle and bustle of the crowd completely disappears. We were on the 7th floor of an old mixed-use building. We were in Akihabara, at the center of Tokyo, in the middle of the day on Sunday, and still, the alleyway we'd come in seemed lonely and abandoned. There we found the shop Daru had told us about. There was a cute anime style sign on a steel door that read Cosplay Media at Akihabara. We're open, come on in. Alright, give me a moment. Who? What? I'm out shopping with Luka-kun. Do you want to come join us? Okabe-san? A little busy now. Where are you? I'll meet up later. Sorry, a little busy now. What happened? I'm about to have a bit of a long talk. With who? Daru. It's not something we can let a girl hear. I'm a guy though. I can't let you hear it, Luka-ko. You're too kind. It would knock you out cold. Huh. Okarin, don't do anything too weird. But you haven't done anything like that lately, so it kind of feels like old times. Sorry, ask me another time. No, sorry for bugging you. Talk to you later. Bye. Very well. All right. Okay. Cosplay media. Oh, wow. The store was jammed full of cosplay outfits. The wall near the entrance held the new arrivals corner and popular cosplay sections, as well as cosplay wigs, ribbons, jewelry, and props. The other wall held the used outfits section and a shoe section stocked with socks, school shoes, heels, and boots. Even further back, I could see rows of school swimsuits and competition swimming outfits. It looked like the place sold mainly to girls, but this clearly wasn't a location where women would feel comfortable. The other tenants in the building were all shady shops with names like Drops of the Spirit God Incorporated, Space Radio Receiver Sales, and Flower Petal Video Project.
君はここには来たことが？
いいえ、前に会った時は別の雑居ビルだったから、同じような怪しいお店だったけれど。
そうか。
I felt like I'd seen Daru's dark side. The shop was completely silent. There were no customers other than us. There was a thin man with long hair at the counter who looked like he worked there, but he didn't even raise his head up from his magazine when we came in. To be honest, ever since I had entered, I worry about that someone would think I was up to something illegal. Anybody who saw me would think I was a pervert taking a middle school girl to a shady cosplay shop.
Oi, Okarin, kochi!
Daru appeared from the back of the shop. There had been no sign of him a second ago.
つうか、マホタンも一緒だったんだね。
そのマホタンというのやめてくれないかしら。
なんで？かわいいじゃん。
バカにされている気分だわ。
そんなことよりダル、お前どこから出てきた？
The man at the counter hadn't said anything, which meant they knew he was there.
とりあえずこっち。
Daru's secrets. Daru headed to the back of the store. One of the rows of hangers holding idol cosplay outfits was pulled forward, and behind it, I could see a curtain. Past the curtain was a tiny space that led to a door marked staff only. It's a hideout. If the hanger rack hadn't been moved, I'd had no idea this was here.
まるで忍者屋敷ね。
Dang. Alright, anyone here have watched or are fans of Hunter x Hunter? Doesn't this remind you of like Kirua's brother's room? With like the several monitors, all the games in the background, all the figurines, and tons of snacks and cans of drinks. You only heard of that? It is probably my favorite anime of all time. Hunter x Hunter. Probably because of the nostalgia factor. I grew up with it. I grew up with the anime, and so and it's one of those that like rare things that you grew up with and it didn't end as you grew up, you know. And I know the author is just trying to stall time and making as much money out of it as he possibly can, but I will forever be a fan. Behind the door was a cramped office. Well, no, the room itself may have been pretty big, but the darkness made it feel really cramped. It was honestly hard to breathe. There were 4 desks in a corner surrounded by metal racks. The desks and floor were piled high with all manner of computer and peripherals. There were boxes and bags littered everywhere. I couldn't tell if they were trash or not. There were towers of magazines, games, plastic models, and figure boxes. And the desk was covered in garbage, just like the one at the lab. It was too dark to tell, but I was sure the figures he had on display were covered in dust. And what did he need 6 monitors for, anyway? Each of them displayed an image of the store. Evidently, it was footage from a security camera. Given the size of the store and the lack of customers, even 3 cameras would have been too many.
ま、適当に座って。
座れる場所なんてないぞ。
今スペース作るを。
Daru kicked aside the boxes on the floor to make room, then sat down 2 folding chairs.
お前、この店とはどういう関係なんだ？
バイトリーダーみたいなもんかな。結構こういうアングラな店のバイト掛け持ちしてるんだよね。でさ、たまに事務所を個人的に使わせてもらってるわけ。
裏のバイトのためにか？
そういうこと。
Maybe there was a lot more to Daru than I thought.
ここにあるものは全部お前の私物か？
いや、他のバイトのみんなとの共有財産的なやつ。さすがにこんなにたくさん買えるほどお金持ってないし。
Or so he said, but who knew if that was true? Okay, we have to put a little bit more faith in Daru. He has been nothing but loyal. Alright, we gotta save here. Hold on. Okay, we are picking up the call today.
なんだ？
あんたまだ真帆先輩と一緒よね。
ああ、一緒だが。
どうかしたの？
レスキネン教授からたった今聞いたんですが、和光市のオフィスが何者かに荒らされたって。
Okay, so that line of events have been started.
え？あと真帆先輩のホテルからも連絡が来て、そっちも誰かに侵入されたみたいです。
So that's like Derpa's doing, I believe. That's Judy Rice's doing. Okay, let me just write this down. So January 23rd, Wako City, and Maho's apartment. I mean, Maho's hotel room. Raided. Most likely by Derpa, which is Judy Rice's group. Click, click.
なんですって？
すぐにレスキネン教授からも連絡があるはずですけど、少しでも早く知らせた方がいいと思って。
So why didn't Leskinen reach out to Maho first? Why did he reach out to Amadeus first? That makes no sense to me.
ありがとうクリス。ヒアジョーさんのことは俺とダルで見てるから大丈夫だ。
そうね、頼むわ。それじゃ。
Maho looked down and bit her lip.
懸念していたことが現実になったな。狙いは間違いなくクリスのノート PC とハードディスクだ。
え、マジで？
場所を変えた方がいいかもしれない。
ここは安全だと思うけど。
なんとなく嫌な予感がするんだ。勘みたいなものだ。
わかったお。
それでノート PC とハードディスクはどこに？
Daru sighed and grabbed a locked fire-resistant case off one of the racks. He opened it. Is that where he hid it? The laptop was a deep red Japanese model with a 12-inch LCD screen. The hard drive was American, from a brand known for equipping its drives with a shock-resistant rubber case.
それを持って急いで出よう。
Both Maho and Daru nodded silently. As soon as we left the building, I could see a car coming down the empty alleyway. It was a big American RV. We quickly hid ourselves in a van in the shadow of another building. My intuition was right. The RV stopped in front of the building we just left. 3 men came out. None of them were Japanese. They were all dressed in black suits, like MIBs, like Men in Blacks. MIB, short for Men in Black, an American urban legend. It is said that the Men in Black are secret government agents who appear without warning before UFO witnesses or researchers in order to put a stop to their activities. It is not known whether such secret agency actually exists. The name came from the commonly held belief that they dressed in all black, with black suits and black sunglasses. A movie of the same name, based loosely on the urban legend, helped popularize the idea. Whatever they weren't Akihabara tourists.
間一髪だったな。
Maho went pale when she saw the men go into the building. She seemed to be shaking a little too.
まるで映画の世界だわ。とても現実とは思えない。
でもさ、あの連中は店の情報どうやって入手したんだろう。
誰がヘマしたんじゃないのか。
僕を誰だと思ってる？
スーパーハッカーだろ。
ハッカーな。足はつかないように注意してるっつうの。
または俺とヒアジョーさんが尾行されてた可能性もあるが。
怖いこと言わないでよ。
We probably were
和光市
tailed.
のオフィスやホテルだって荒らされたんだ。ヒアジョーさんがずっとマークされていたのは間違いない。
あ、そうだわ。
Maho seemed to suddenly remember something. She took out her smartphone and made a call.
教授に連絡しないと。
今日はどこかに身を隠すと伝えておいた方がいい。教授と合流すると教授にまで危険が及ぶかもしれない。
Maho nodded. Alright, where are we going? Where are we hiding? Rintaro took Maho to Fair's Nyan-Nyan's home. It was on the top floor of a high-rise building in the center of Akihabara. If nothing else, it was sure to be more secure than the ancient building they'd just been in. Ferris welcomed the two of them, offering them food and a place to sleep. Daru returned alone to the Future Gadgets Lab to meet up with Suzuha.
このノート PC は存在するだけで災いを呼ぶだろう。
Oh, it's so weird to see Okabe talking. I don't know. I know we've seen it a couple times before, but it's always so weird.
手放した方がいい。
It is super rare, right? Once they both calmed down, she started to talk to him about what they were going to do with Kurisa's computer. He didn't budge an inch. Usually he was an introvert who never pushed too hard for anything, but this time, he was extremely stubborn. Of course, so was Maho.
せめてロックを解除して中身について確かめたいわ。今のところそれもできずに手詰まりだけれど。
そんな悠長なことを言っている場合じゃない。今すぐ手放すべきだ。一番いいのはこの場で破壊することだが。
破壊するって、これはクリスの形見でもあるのよ。
君はもう少しロジカルな人間だと思ってた。
私はあなたがそんな冷たい人だとは思わなかった。
Maho's words made him flinch. It is tough. It is hard. Something bad had happened to him. That's how it seemed to her. And it was easy to assume that it had something to do with Kurisa. So she decided to ask him what she hadn't gotten to earlier during the fuss this afternoon.
あなたはクリスの事件について何か隠しているように見えるのだけれど。
俺の知ってることなんてどうでもいいような話だ。
Maho could tell he wasn't going to share. If they hadn't been interrupted this afternoon, would he have told her?
それよりこの PC をどうするかだ。これはもう友達の形見なんていう私的なレベルのものじゃない。国家規模での争奪戦を引き起こす代物なんだ。
一体どんな陰謀論よ。
この後に及んで陰謀論だと言い張るのか。君も見ただろう、あの黒服の外国人たちを。君の通うオフィスも寝泊まりしているホテルも荒らされた。クリスの自宅だって放火された。その放火事件の後、君の研究室に FBI を名乗る謎の男たちが調査に来た。前にホテルの駐車場で襲われたことだってもしかしたら関連があるかもしれない。普通なら絶対に遭遇しないような出来事が立て続けに起きている。これは偶然じゃない。
だからって国家規模だなんて。
The whole thing just seemed like too much of a stretch for her. Trying to connect every single event was a trap that conspiracy theorists often fell into. But in fact, most things that happened didn't really mean anything. When she began to tell him that, what he had said next surprised her.
事態はこの先、ジョン・タイターの予言通りに進むだろう。
I'm trying to remember. The return to Funny Gay Zero, yes. Hi, Scout. How are you?
ジョン・タイター？
It is not so funny today, unfortunately. Today is very pain, much sad. Lots of conspiracies. Yeah, I knew Maho would have. I did think Maho would have never knew who John Titor was. Maho had never heard of that name before.
10年前にアメリカのネット掲示板に現れた人物だよ。2036年からタイムマシンに乗ってやってきた自称未来人だ。俺はそいつが本物だと知っている。会ったこともある。ジョン・タイターによれば2015年には第三次世界大戦が起きる。その原因はタイムマシンだ。
バカにしているの？
至って真面目だ。中鉢博士のことを知りたがっていたな。奴はクリスの父親だ。
I mean, you guys do have access to Amadeus. You can easily confirm this.
中鉢論文にはクリスが関わっていた可能性がある。
なんですって？
This is the worst guy ever. I hate him. Maho had read Dr. Nakabashi's paper out of curiosity. Last summer, he'd proudly announced that his paper on time travel to the entire world just before fleeing to Russia. The paper itself, however, was so poorly written that it was of no value whatsoever. She couldn't believe that Kurisu might have been involved in writing it.
論文は劣化版で、もしもクリス自身が書いたオリジナルが存在するとしたら、クリスの残したノート PC とポータブルハードディスク、その中身が実際のところ何なのかは関係ない。ただそれを手に入れたがっている連中がいるんだ。
ちょっと待って、少し整理させて。
Could what Rintaro was saying be true? She took a moment to think. Normally, she wouldn't give something like this a second thought. But what had been happening around her lately just wasn't normal. She couldn't outright deny it. Besides, she was nursing a conspiracy theory of her own. Share with us.
この PC が狙われているかもしれないという予感はしていたのよ。
Yes, share with the class, Maho.
ただ、あなたの話は私の予想とはあまりにもかけ離れすぎていて。
予想とは？
アマデウスの軍事転用のことじゃないかと考えていたの。
I mean, why not both? Right? World War III, that World War III scene or war line that we had been in just now seemed to confirm Maho's theory, but
軍事転用？
クリスは精神生理学研究所にもよく出入りしていたんだけど、時々場違いな連中がそこにやってくるって言ってたの。
Well, that's kind of like what Reyes was talking about previously, in that they're hoping to use like they're hoping to create the perfect soldier by installing AI into human bodies. Psychophysiology Lab, fictional, one of the labs at Victor Condrea University. While the Brain Science Institute works to understand the processes behind thought and memory by examining the system used in the brain, the Psychophysiology Lab's goals are more medical in nature. The Psychophysiology Lab develops new medical treatments by conducting research on physiological effects caused by the various inner workings of the mind. The lab's research covers a wide array of areas, including perception, cognitive function, reflexes, learning, sleep, alcohol dependence, and schizophrenia.
どうも国防総省の人じゃないかって。
DoD, short for the United States Department of Defense, also known as the Pentagon due to the shape of its headquarters. America's highest level military administrative body responsible for controlling the Army, Navy, and Air Force.
アマデウスで人を殺せるのか？どうやって？
例えば百戦錬磨のパイロットから記憶データをコピーして無人戦闘機の制御に使うとか、あと以前話した医療への応用覚えてる？
人間の脳へ記憶データを書き戻すってやつかな。
そう。
Someone could live forever, depending on your definition of living and identity.
記憶データを修正した上で書き戻しが可能になれば、恐怖を感じない兵士やどんな非道な任務でも平然と遂行する部隊なんていう恐ろしいものまで作れてしまう。私はてっきりクリスがそういった実験の証拠を偶然知ってしまったんじゃないかと思っていたの。
なあ、アマデウスの研究には米軍が関与していたりはしないよな。
するわけないでしょ。
本当にそう言い切れるか？君はあくまで研究者であってプロジェクトの総責任者じゃない。
Oh, Leskinen.
レスキ
Oh.
ネン教授だって軍に関与なんてさせないわ。
But what if he is the military itself? But what if?
だよな。あれは別の世界線の話だし。
He already let, what is it, Judy Ryerson. I mean, I guess Judy Ryerson wasn't like directly involved in the research. But she's close enough, right?
世界線？何のこと？
いや、忘れてくれ。俺の考えすぎだと思う。
He hadn't seemed like he really meant that, and that really bothered her. She wanted to hear more about John Tider, but he didn't tell her anything else. Since she couldn't track the security on Kuris's laptop and hard drive, it did Maho no good to carry them. She couldn't crack that track. And just like Lintaro said, those attackers scared her. So she decided she had no choice but to give them to him. She didn't tell her whether he was going to destroy them or not.
Maho, 無事でよかった。
You're awfully happy about this. Okay. I mean, maybe it's the music. When she arrived at their office in Wako City, Dr. Leskinen was already there. He came over and gave her a big hug.
教授、苦しい。
おう、すまない。ははは。
She heard that the office had been ransacked, but whatever had happened had already been cleaned up.
教授が片付けたんですか？
荒らされたと言っても、もともと私と魔法しか使っていなかったわけだし、荷物も多くなかったからね。あとは警察に任せてある。
2 days had passed since the office had been ransacked. Maho had spent both of them at Ferris's home, and only today had she gotten in touch with Dr. Leskinen and gone to Wako City to get her things. They were both going back tomorrow, just as planned. That meant they were saying goodbye to this office.
犯人はまだ捕まっていないんですよね。
ああ。日本に来てから災難続きだな。
ですね。
The two of them looked around the empty office. It'd been a busy 2 months.
魔法はどうだったかな。日本はもう一つの故郷でもあるわけだろう。感想は？
早く大学に戻って研究に打ち込みたいですね。この2ヶ月資料をまとめてばかりだった気がするので。
魔法は真面目だね。
それとクリスが最後の時間を過ごしたこの国の空気を感じることができたのは良かったです。
魔法。
But she still hadn't figured out why Kurisa had died. Actually, she had even more questions now. It bothered her to go home with so many questions left unanswered. If only Rintaro had told her everything he knew.
そういえば
The thought suddenly occurred to Maho.
アマデウスのテスターの件はどうします？
Of course, she meant Okabe Rintaro. If both Maho and Leskinen were heading back to America, that meant that his time as a tester was over.
そうだね。
For some reason, the professor was taking a moment to think it over. She wondered what there was to think about.
テストはこのまま続けてもらおうと思っているんだが、どうだろう。
Why?
え？本気ですか？
Why is he bending over backwards? For Okarin to stay in the testing program.
実際、リンタロウと話すことで、クリスはこれまでにないような反応をしてみせているだろう。今後は彼だけでなく、もっと多くのテスターを使っていきたいとも考えているところだし。
セキュリティの面で不安があるのでは？
Weird, right, Linnea? Because it's like, I know right now they're using the server here, right, in Japan, but I assume, like, it wouldn't make any sense for them to try to maintain a server in Japan if their main hub is in America and they're going back to America. And why would they go through this much just challenges just to keep Okarin here?
アメリカと日本だと離れすぎていて、何かトラブルが起きた時に対処できません。
Unless, you know how, like, every time Amadeus is utilized, they could keep track of the user's location? Unless he's using it to track Okarin. But why? What do you know?
大丈夫さ。私はリンタロウを信じているからね。
いや、信じるとか信じないという話ではなくてですね。
それにテストを継続すれば、魔法だって定期的にリンタロウと連絡を取れるよ。
I mean, I'm sure we're friends by now, so we can still connect without Amadeus.
私は関係ないでしょう。
そうかい？
I feel like he's blurring the focus, right?
そうですよ。
では今後のリンタロウとの連絡は私が直接取ることにしよ
う。別に構いませんよ。
It still seemed like he wasn't telling her something, but she was too embarrassed to question him further. It surprised her, though, that he was so focused on Rintaro. Thank you, Maho. He seemed to have taken a real liking to him ever since they had first met. Did he simply like the guy, or was it because he was Kurisa's friend? Or was it something else? She didn't know. The next day, Maho and Dr. Leskinen returned to America via Narita Airport, just like they'd planned. Rintaro had come to see them off, but he was very surprised when Dr. Leskinen told him he could continue being a tester. And then half a year passed. So the significance of 6 months to half a year here is that basically half a year later, Suzuha's time machine is rendered useless because the computer is ran out of battery, essentially. So that is very scary looking for a university, but okay. Victor Condra University's ground were dead quiet. I'm thinking maybe we wrap it up here today, and then tomorrow we get to finish this ending. Or should we go a little bit more? Let's go a little bit more. I feel good. Victor Condra University's grounds were dead quiet. It was after 11 p.m. Some of the labs worked all night and into the morning, so the place wasn't completely abandoned. But compared to daytime, it was quiet. The lights in the halls were off, and it was a little scary walking down them alone. Mahal lived in the researcher's apartments next to the lab. She'd been thinking about so many things that night. Her head felt like it was going to explode. Then she looked out the window and realized that the lights were still on in the brain science lab. Dr. Leskinen must have been working late. She decided to put some coffee in the thermos and take it to him.
そもそもなんで私はタイムマシンの研究なんかに没頭しているのかしら。
Ever since she'd come back from Japan in January, she spent all her free time on it. Even she had to admit she was getting obsessed. Of course, since this wasn't something she could research in public, and since she couldn't let it interfere with her real job, she had to do all of it in her own room at night. As a result, she was staying up late battling with physics textbooks, an unfamiliar subject to her. Exhaustions and lack of sleep were starting to get to her. The whole idea of a time machine was stupid. She still thought so, but she was surprised at how desperate she was getting.
それもこれも岡部さんのせいよ。
What Okabe had said to her in Japan still stuck with her.
中鉢論文にはクリスが関わっていた可能性がある。論文は劣化版で、もしもクリス自身が書いたオリジナルが存在するとしたら。
Am I still muted? Hello? Can you hear me now? It was one of those things when I get trigger happy with the mute button, I guess. Hi! Hi, Linnea. Hi. Alright, let's read those again. I think we didn't miss much. Rintaro could have been lying, or wrong, or simply delusional. But part of her wanted to believe it was real. Of course, from what she'd seen of Dr. Nakabachi's paper, she didn't want to believe Kurisu was involved. It was just that bad. But what if his version was an inferior copy of an original that Kurisu wrote herself? If she could have written it off as a slim possibility, everything would have been so much easier. But it was just like her, she thought, unable to do that. I want to find what Kurisu found. It's the Serieri in her screaming, isn't it? That desire was what drove her to action. But the more research she did, the harder it seemed. It was so hard she was starting to lose faith in what she wanted to believe. Her usual complex started weighing down on her.
クリス、私、やっぱりあなたにはなれない。
Kurisu was her dear friend, but at the same time, she was starting to feel jealous, frustrated, and hateful. And when all those feelings started going around in her head, there was no way she could focus on work. It was time to chat with Dr. Leskinen for a little, and then go to sleep. She headed over to the lab.
教授？
ん？いやあ、魔法。
Dr. Leskinen seemed surprised at her sudden visit, but he stood up from his chair and welcomed her.
どうしたんだい？こんな夜中に。子供はもう寝る時間だよ。
Oh, that would trigger her.
その言葉、そっくりそのままお返しします。
違いない。
Dr. Leskinen laughed innocently, like a child, at her cutting remark.
私の部屋から明かりが見えたものですから。これ、どうぞ。
The cup on Dr. Leskinen's desk was empty. She poured him some coffee from a thermos. It wasn't the sticky, sweet cafe au lait that she liked. She'd made it straight black to match the professor's tastes. The room was filled with steam and a pleasant smell.
これは驚いた。魔法がカフェをご馳走してくれるとは。
私だってこのくらいの気は利きますよ。
でも君はこういうのが嫌いだっただろう？あれは確か君がこの研究所に来た最初の日だったかな。メリーがみんなにモーニングカフェを配って回っていたら、君はそれを断ってこう言ったじゃないか。あなたはカフェを入れるためにここに勤務しているのですか？その時間があったら早く仕事を始めてはどうですとね。いやいや、すごい子が来たものだと驚かされたよ。
そんな古い話今さら持ち出さなくてもいいじゃないですか。
Maho's cheeks swelled in embarrassment.
あの頃は天才少女とか言われてちょっといい気になってたというか、何もわからない子供だったんです。ちゃんと反省はしています。
Mary was another scientist at the lab. After Maho had apologized, they'd gone on to be friends.
本当に教授は意地悪ですね。もう二度とコーヒーなんて持ってきませんから、そのつもりで。
Just as she was thinking of taking the coffee, she poured back.
そうですよ、教授。あんまり先輩をいじめないであげてください。
Kurisu! What's going on? She heard a voice from Dr. Leskinen's computer.
あら、クリス。
はい、私です。
ちょうど彼女のプログラムの検証中だったんだ。
She moved around to where she could see the monitor, and sure enough, the Kurisu CG model was displayed on it.
こんばんは、先輩。
こんな時間までご苦労様。
She's an AI. She doesn't care. Maho chuckled to herself. Kurisu was just a program running on a computer, but she still couldn't stop herself from saying things like that. After all the time they'd spent together, Kurisu was no different than a human to her.
別に私は魔法をいじめてるわけじゃないよ。
Have a wonderful night of sleep, Herd. Thank you for dropping by. It's great to see you.
メアレイトの件だって私は魔法を好ましく思ったものさ。極めて合理的でクールで、しかも面白い子だとね。だから私の助手になってもらったわけだし。もちろん今の優しい君も嫌いじゃないけどね。
Dr. Leskinen gave her a wink as he reached for his coffee cup.
ありがとう。いただくよ。
As he drank his coffee, he grabbed the corners of his eyelids and gave them a little massage. He was acting cheerful, but evidently he was really tired.
プログラムの検証って何をしていたんです？
ああ、今まとめている論文のあれだよ。
アマデウスが嘘をつくメカニズムですか？
その部分のプログラムが解析できると、人間が嘘をつく仕組みももっと詳しくわかるんだがね。
女性の嘘は時に重大な秘密を含んでいます。それを暴こうというのは感心しません。
Kurisu's expression was deadly serious.
何も君の嘘を暴こうって言うんじゃない。嘘をつく時の思考の過程を知りたいだけだよ。
まあいいです。何か暴露する羽目になったら、まず真帆先輩が隠してる甘い秘密を喋ることにしますから。
ちょっとおかしなことを言わないでちょうだい。っていうか、甘い秘密って何？
なんでしょうね。
She played dumb. Sometimes Kurisu liked to joke around. It was infuriating and at the same time, kind of cute.
例えばゲームセンターで彼に取ってもらったぬいぐるみの件、私が気づいていないとでも？
は？
The first thing she thought of when she heard of the word arcade was what happened back in Akihabara, Japan. She tried so many times to get a stuffed animal and failed each time Rintaro had won it easily and given it to her.
あれが何？
ずっと先輩のベッドに置いてあるんですよね。
何をバカなことを言っているの？あれはクリスのお母さんへのお土産よ。
じゃあなんで先輩の部屋に？
だってお母さんは新しい家をまだ探してるって言うし、それまでは仮のアパートメント住まいだし、引っ越しの時の荷物になったらあれかなと思って。
本当ですか？
本当よ。だいたいあのぬいぐるみは私にとってもクリスの大事な思い出なんですもの。抱いて寝るのがそんなにおかしい？
やっぱり先輩のベッドにあるんですね、あれ。
Oh boy.
しかも抱いて寝てるなんてとってもキュート。そのあたりもっと詳しく教えてください。
That stupid computer program had tricked her. By the time she realized, it was already too late. Both Kurisu and Dr. Leskinen, who'd been listening the whole time, were smiling at her. She glared at them, her cheeks flushed.
これはどうやらクリスの勝ちのようだね。
勝ち負けとか関係ありません。もう私は寝ます。おやすみなさい。
She turned to leave Dr. Leskinen's office. fuming, but before she could leave, Kurisu got in one final parting shot.
先輩、もう1週間も岡部と連絡取ってませんよ。忙しいからといって連絡をおろそかにしていると後で後悔しちゃいますからね。
あのね、どうしてもあなたは私と岡部さんをくっつけたいの？
Maho stormed over to the monitor, but Kurisu seemed unconcerned.
たまには直接会ってみたいなって思ったりしませんか？
思いません。
そうか、残念だな。
For some reason, Dr. Leskinen shook his head sadly.
近々また共同研究で日本に呼ばれているんだ。その時、レンタロウに連絡を取ってみようと思っているんだ。
They're going back.
魔法も一緒に連れて行こうかどうか悩んでいたんだが、これはやめた方が良さそうだね。
She'd heard nothing about this. Most of the time, whenever the professor had a project coming up, she'd hear about it through the school's network ahead of time.
日本へまた行くんですか？
She had to stop herself from immediately saying that she wanted to go too. If she did, Dr. Leskinen and Kurisu would make fun of her again. But she didn't want to miss this chance. There was still a lot she needed to do in Japan. More than anything, she wanted to talk to Rintaro in person. About the time machine and about Kurisu. It definitely was not because she just liked talking to him. See, now I'm having my doubts.
ぜひ私も連れて行ってください。
In the end, she gave in.
おお、ついに素直になったんだね。
では告白プランを考えましょう。
No.
あなたたちね。
Maho was starting to get tired of dealing with them.
冗談はさておき。君を連れて行けるかどうかは微妙なところなんだ。
というと？
君は日本でいろいろな事件に巻き込まれたろう。脳科学研究所としてはそのことをかなり気にしていてね。
そんな。
クリスの件もあったし、優秀な人材をこれ以上危険な目に遭わせるわけにいかないというのが理事たちの考えなんだよ。
私なら大丈夫です。現にこうして無事でいるじゃないですか。
ほう。つまり魔法はそこまでして日本にいるレンタロウに会いたいと。
いい加減セクハラになりますよ。
おお、それは勘弁してくれ。
でも本気で交際を検討してみては。将来的には岡部もこっちに来る可能性があるんでしょ。だったら今のうちに唾をつけておくべきですって。
おせっかいな親戚のおばさんみたいなことを言うのはやめなさい。
魔法の考えは理解したよ。私からも理事に話をしてみよう。ただし、だからといって日本に行けるという保証はできないからね。
はい、ありがとうございます。
私は結構本気なんですけどね。
まだ言っているの？まったく。
It really felt like she was talking to Kurisu. The feeling was much stronger than when they first started on Amadeus. And that reminded her of something she'd almost done many times, but stopped.
このクリスにタイムマシンのことを相談してみたらどうだろう。
Yeah, she might know something. She didn't know if Kurisu had completed the time machine theory before her death. But if she had, some clues to it might be hidden in Kurisu's memories. Of course, she couldn't ask her in front of Dr. Laskinen, and she couldn't let others hear that she was making a time machine. If the rest of the lab found out, they'd make fun of her for sure. If it wasn't even her field of research to begin with.
それじゃあ教授、そろそろ部屋に戻って寝ます。
Maho took her thermos and was about to leave the lab.
あ、ちょっと待った。最近、マホの記憶データを全く更新していないだろう？
There's a Maho too. Okay, Leskinen is super sus, I think. I wonder if he's trying to get Maho's memory data update so that he could know what Okarin and her had been talking about. I can't believe there's a Maho. I mean, I'm not... Well, actually, no. I shouldn't say that. We did see a Maho, right? At the very beginning of the game. The very, very beginning of the game. When they were doing the ATF symposium. And there was a Maho on the screen. So yes, we should have known that there was a Maho, but we just haven't seen the bracket Maho for so long that I've forgotten about her. But why is he insisting on a memory data now? Let me write that down. Oh, we're getting rain. Excellent. I hope that would help with the smog.
エムデウスの魔法のことだよ。
Protect your brain, girl.
日本に行く前に採取したデータが最後じゃないか？
それはですね。
Maho didn't know what to say. He was right.
日本ではいろいろと怖い体験をしましたし、アマデウスに悪い記憶を残すこともないかなと。
気持ちはわかるが、このままだと比較実験ができない。
A comparison trial involved loading memories from both before and after a given experience into Amadeus and seeing how it changed. These trials allow them to see what effects experiences and knowledge had on the brain. And after Kuris's passing, they became solely Maho's responsibility.
今の君とエムデウスの魔法とではあまりにも記憶が食い違いすぎていて、別人と言ってもいいほどになってしまっている。
はい、そうですね。
このままだと君をこのプロジェクトから外して他の誰かに頼まなくてはならないかもしれないよ。
それは。
I don't... It feels sus. Her expression darkened.
クリスばかり相手にしていないで、たまには自分も構ってあげなさい。きっと寂しがっている。明日必ず記憶の更新をしておくように。いいね？
わかりました。
Maho nodded her head and left the room. The reason she'd given to Dr. Leskinen for not updating Maho's memories was a real concern. But there was also another one. Rintaro's words.
なあ、アマデウスの研究には米軍が関与していたりはしないよな。
She had no proof. But she couldn't get his words out of her mind. Was some great power involved in Amadeus's research? Something so powerful it was outside even Dr. Leskinen's control. If she updated her memory data, Maho would learn about Kurisa's laptop and hard disk. She trusted Amadeus, but that would mean whoever was secretly trying to use the project for their own ends would find out. It seemed silly, almost delusional, to be worried about something like that, but she couldn't get it out of her mind ever since she come back to America.
でもやっぱり考えすぎよね。
She whispered to herself.
誰かそこにいるの？
Oh. Reyes, hello. She heard a woman's voice from down the dark hallway. Maho stopped dead in her tracks. The hallway lights flipped on, and she saw a group of men and women coming down the corridor that connected her building to the next one. The building over was the psychophysiology lab. And that is where Reyes worked. Maho's brain science lab mostly investigated the workings of the brain itself. The psychophysiology lab, on the other hand, was more of a medical department. They looked at how the workings of the brain affected mental states and mental illnesses.
すみません、冷や城真帆です。レスキネン教授の研究室の。
The woman at the head of the group was someone she knew. It was Dr. Reyes, a scientist at the psychophysiology lab.
あら、真帆だったの。
レイエス教授、こんな時間にお仕事ですか？
あなたも？
ええ、まあ。
お互いに仕事中毒だわね。
No problem, Amazon. Good to still have you here. Judy Rice's eyes narrowed underneath her glasses as she laughed.
アレクシスは？まだ自分のオフィスよね。
はい、アマデウスの研究を。
ほんとご執心ね。自分の娘と勘違いしてるんじゃないかしら。
こんな時間にレスキネン教授にお会いになるんですか？もし緊急でのミーティングなら私も。
その必要はないわ。私の研究に少し問題があってね。至急彼の知恵を借りたいのよ。あなたがいても特に頼めることはないでしょうし。あ、気を悪くしないでね。でもありがとう。
Dr. Reyes kept smiling as she walked past Maho toward the lab. The other scientists followed her.
研究に問題って一体何だろう？
With a whole crew behind her too. She took a closer look and saw that she didn't recognize one of the people in the group. It was hard to say why exactly she noticed him. He just didn't look like a scientist. When you spend enough time doing research, you start to get a feel for people who are in the same line of work. But he had a totally different air about him, and what was worse, he was behaving extremely rudely toward Dr. Reyes. If he was one of her staff, he wouldn't act like that. And while everyone else was wearing white lab coats, he was wearing a freshly pressed suit. It just didn't feel right. She was about to head back to her room when it bothered her enough that she turned right back around and silently crept back to Dr. Leskinen's lab. The door was slightly ajar. She could hear voices inside. She knew it was wrong, but she decided to push her face up against the door to listen.
いつまで泳がせておくつもり？
貴重な情報源だ。下手に動いて破棄でもされたらもったいないだろう。
Wait, hold on. He can speak Japanese very normally? This has... absolutely zero accent in there just now.
いずれにせよ今月中に日本に立つ。そこで回収するつもりさ。
What the fudge? Hold on. I'd hate to tip him off and have him destroy it. So they're talking about Okarin, of course. And also about Kuris's stuff. So how does he know all that?
なぜ半年近くも様子を見たのか、納得のいく説明ができるのかしら。
Okay, this is weird. So they work together. They work together, obviously. Like beyond just, under Victochondria. And at the same time, like way back in Maho's ending, we saw that she shot him in cold blood. Are they competing and she just doesn't agree with her?
彼らは我々が知っていること以上の何かを隠しているような気がしてね。そこでアマデウスを使って聞き出そうとしたんだが、かなり警戒心が強い慎重な青年だよ、リンターロ・岡部は。
真帆にお得意の施術でもしてあげたら？
彼女は何も知らないと思うがね。
Maho, stay calm. Don't. You can get out of this, okay? Maho started to panic when she heard her name. And then she realized she made a big mistake. She was focused on listening to the conversation that she pressed her shoulder into the door. The door to the lab wasn't very well built. There was a loud creak and everyone in the lab turned around.
誰？
Oh, Maho, no. She knew she should probably run, but her body refused to move. She couldn't understand what she was hearing, and even after they found her, she still couldn't move. She couldn't believe it. She didn't want to believe it. This was worse than being in a thriller, she thought. The other scientists who were with Dr. Reyes grabbed her arms tightly and dragged her into the room.
教授、今の話は一体。
Oh, fudge. This is bad. No. Dr. Lestinen looked a little sad as he walked over to her. His huge body leaned forward and peered into her face.
やれやれ、聞いてしまったんだね。
It's bad, Linnea. It's bad. It's very bad. And Dr. Leskinen's giving the classic villain of, oh, I'm so sorry that I have to kill you. It's too bad that you couldn't contribute to my grand plan.
まあ、ちょうどいい。魔法、さっきの日本行きの話だけどね。やはり君にも一緒に来てもらおう。
She didn't know what he meant. Weren't the directors supposed to it? Was it something Dr. Leskinen could decide on his own? What was good timing? Confused, she glanced over at the computer screen, but Kurisu was no longer there. The one thing she knew was Okabe's words weren't the delusions of a conspiracy theorist after all. Okay. I think they copied her and then killed her. That would be my guess. Oh boy. Okay. All right. Bad Luskinen. I guess you're coming to it. You're coming with me to Japan after all. All right, that is a much more satisfying place to leave you guys hanging than the previous one. I like this much better. So we're gonna save now. And is there anyone that I could raid? You wanted me to keep going. You asked for it, Lenia. Hey, Amazon. All right. I need to look for someone to raid. If there's anybody to raid. Oh, Llama's on? Is he still on? Oh yeah, he is. Oh, he changed his name, so I didn't notice. Okay. How do you guys feel about actually maybe we raid we could watch a little demonologist. Let's go raid Llama then. I haven't raided him in a very long time. Let's do it. But yeah. That's it. That's all I have. I got nothing to offer. I have no graceful goodbyes to say today because I'll be back on tomorrow at noon Eastern. So not long from now. And we will continue. Right? So Lenia, at least I wasn't hanging you for leaving you hanging for a whole week. It's just very short, right? Yeah. Thanks everyone for stopping by. I hope you all had a good time and we shall continue tomorrow to peel back the veils of, I guess, niceties of Dr. Leskinen and really figure out how evil he is. And find out what they did to Maho, after all. All right? Have a wonderful night. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.